Welcome back, Faith Builders. Today, we continue a journey through the first book of Adam and Eve, exploring chapters 21 to 30. These chapters are rich with lessons of perseverance, divine grace, and the enduring human spirit. Let's dive in. Chapter 21. Adam and Eve committed suicide again, this time from the top of the mountain at the western gate of the garden. Adam threw himself from the top of the mountain, and his face was torn, his flesh was flayed, blood flowed from him, and he was dead. Eve wept and blamed herself for all that had happened, and threw herself, and was torn and dead. But Elohim, being merciful, looked upon them, and as they lay dead, he sent his word unto them and raised them, and said to Adam, O Adam, all this misery, which thou hast wrought upon thyself, will not avail against my rule, neither will it alter the covenant of the 5,500 years. In chapter 22, Adam complained to Elohim of being tired from walking in the heat from the sun, and hoping Elohim bring him to his rest. But Elohim said to him, O Adam, it cannot be present, not until thou hast ended thy days. Then shall I bring thee out of this wretched land. Adam compared living in the garden and outside, wept and pleaded with Elohim not to smite him with heavy plagues, nor yet repay according to my sin. Then Elohim said, because thou hast gone through all this and several attempts to kill thyself, I will take all this upon myself in order to save thee. Chapter 23. Then Adam wept and asked for mercy from Elohim. Adam and Eve took stones and placed them in the shape of an altar, and took leaves from the trees outside the garden, with which they wiped from the face of the rock the blood they had spilled, but that on the sand they took with the dust wherewith it was mingled, and offered it upon the altar. They stood by the altar and wept, saying, Forgive us our trespass. Our Father, who art in heaven, original of Yah's prayer, be gracious unto us. O Yah our Elohim, hallowed be thy name, and let the remembrance of thee be glorified in heaven above and upon earth here below. Let thy kingdom reign over us now and forever. And they wept more and made more requests. In chapter 24, then Elohim, being merciful and lover of men, looked upon Adam and Eve, and upon their blood which they had offered unto him, without an order from him for so doing. But he wondered at them, and accepted their offerings. And Elohim sent from his presence a bright fire, that consumed their offering. Then the word of Elohim came upon him, O Adam, as thou hast shed thy blood, so will I shed my own blood when I become flesh of thy seed. And as thou didst die, O Adam, so also will I die. And as thou didst build an altar on the earth, so also will I make for thee an altar on earth. And so also didst thou offer thy blood upon it, so also will I offer my blood upon an altar on the earth. And as thou didst sue for forgiveness of sin, and blot out transgressions in it, and now behold thee, I have accepted thy offering, O Adam, but thy days of the covenant, wherein I have bound thee, are not fulfilled. When they are now fulfilled, then will I bring thee back into the garden. Now strengthen thy heart, and when sorrow comes upon thee, make me an offering, and I will be favorable to thee. Chapter 25. Elohim knew that Adam had a thought to kill himself and make an offering to him with his blood, and said, O Adam, do not again kill thyself, as thou didst by throwing thyself down from the mountain. Adam confessed that he had thought about that, for having transgressed, and praised Elohim's goodness and mercies. Then the word of Elohim came unto him, and blessed him, and covenanted with him, that he would save him at the end of the days determined upon him. This, then, was the first offering Adam made unto Elohim, and so it became his custom to do. In chapter 26, then Adam took Eve, and they returned to the cave of treasure, where they dwelt. But when they neared it, they were heavy sorrowed as they looked at it. Adam laments of how at the mountaintop the word of Elohim comforted them, but now the word of Elohim is hidden from us, and darkness is upon us. They wept and entered the cave. Elohim looked upon Adam and Eve with great sorrow, and upon all they had done with a fervent heart, on account of all the trouble they were in, and the misery that came upon them in a strange land. But Elohim was long-suffering and forbearing towards them, as towards the children he had made. Then the word of Elohim came upon Adam, and he explained the creation again to him, and how it can't be altered, and how he cannot alter the covenant that has gone out of his mouth, lest he would have brought thee back into the garden. Elohim encouraged them to enter the cave, for darkness is just 12 hours long, and when ended, light shall arise. Then Adam and Eve worshipped Elohim, and their heart comforted, entered the cave with tears in their eyes, sorrow and wailing came from their hearts, and wished death upon themselves. They stood praying until darkness came upon them. Chapter 27. When Satan saw they continued on prayer, and how Elohim communed with them, and comforted them, and how he had accepted their offering, Satan made an apparition. He began with transforming his hosts. In his hands was a flashing fire, and they were in a great light. He then placed his throne near the mouth of the cave, because he could not enter into it by reason of their prayers. And he shed light into the cave, until the cave glistened over Adam and Eve, while his host began to sing praises. Satan did this in order to deceive Adam, and think the light is from heaven, and Elohim had sent it to give him light in darkness. So when Adam comes out, will bow before him, and Satan will overcome Adam the second time, and humble him before Elohim. Adam and Eve strengthened their heart, trembling, as they looked at the great light, with many songs of praise, and the host standing outside, that do not come into them. Adam thought that if it was from Elohim, they would have come into the cave and give their errand. Then Adam stood and prayed to Elohim with a fervent heart. An angel from Elohim appeared unto him. O Adam, fear not. This is Satan and his host. He wishes to deceive you, as he did at first when in a serpent form, but now came to you the similitude of an angel of light. Then the angel went from Adam, and seized Satan at the opened cave, and stripped him of the feint he had assumed, bringing him in his hideous form to Adam and Eve, who were afraid of him when they saw him. The angel drove away Satan and his hosts, saying, Fear not, Elohim who created you will strengthen you. And the angel departed. Adam and Eve continued to pray, and when it was morning, prayed and went out to seek the garden. In chapter 28, the wily Satan saw Adam and Eve heading towards the garden. He gathered his host and came in appearance upon a cloud, intent on deceiving them. Adam and Eve saw them, and thought they were angels of Elohim come to comfort them and bring them into the garden. Adam spread his hands unto Elohim, beseeching him to make him understand what they were. Then Satan, the hater of all good, said, O Adam, I am an angel of the great Elohim, and behold the host with me. And he sent me to bring you back to the border of the garden northwards, to the sea, to bath them and clear them from their sin, and back to the garden. Yet Elohim withheld his word from Adam, and did not make him understand at once, but waited to see his strength, whether he would be overcome as Eve was when in the garden, or maybe prevail. Satan continued to lead Adam and Eve to the sea of water, and they followed from a distance. When they came to the mountain, Satan drew near them and made them go up to the top. In reality, he wanted to throw them down and kill them, and wipe out their name from the earth, so that this earth should remain to him and his hosts alone. Chapter 29. Merciful Elohim saw that Satan wished to kill Adam with his manifold devices, and saw that Adam was meek and without guile. Elohim spoke to Satan in a loud voice and cursed him. Then he and his host fled, and Adam and Eve remained standing on top of the mountain, and saw none of the hosts, which anon were by them. They wept before Elohim and begged for forgiveness. Then the word of Elohim came to Adam, Know thou and understand concerning this Satan, that he seeks to deceive thee, and thy seed after thee. Adam wept and begged Elohim to give him a token from the garden, wherein to be comforted. And Elohim looked upon Adam's thought, and sent angel Michael as far, as the sea that reaches unto India, to take from thence golden rods, and bring them to Adam. This did Elohim in his wisdom, so that the golden rod brings light to Adam and the cavity at night, and out an end to his fear of darkness. In chapter 30, after these things, Elohim commanded angel Gabriel to go down to the garden, and say to the cherub who kept it, Behold, Elohim has commanded me to come into the garden, and to take thence sweet-smelling incense, and give to Adam. Then the angel went down, and did as Elohim commanded to get the incense. Then Elohim commanded his angel Raphael to go down into the garden, and speak to the cherub about some myrrh to give to Adam. And the angel did as Elohim commanded, and got the myrrh, the golden rod from the Indian Sea, where there are precious stones. The incense was from the eastern border of the garden, and myrrh from the western border, whence bitterness came upon Adam. And the angel brought these three things to Elohim by the tree of life in the garden. Then Elohim said, Dip them in the spring of water. Then take them and sprinkle their water over Adam and Eve, that they be a little comforted in their sorrow, and give them to Adam and Eve. And the angels did as Elohim commanded, and gave them to Adam and Eve on top of the mountain where Satan had left them. And when Adam saw the gifts, he rejoiced and wept, because he knew the meaning of the three gifts about his life journey. The journey of Adam and Eve in this episode tells of how Elohim's mercies endure forever. Despite the wrong, Elohim is always willing to help, protect, and save his children, though even when fear grips. Know that Elohim is there with you and always listening to your prayers of repentance and thanksgiving. I pray we believe in Elohim through his son Yeshua, and know that the Creator will never neglect his people. Remember, no matter the challenges we face, Satan's tricks are still the same, nothing new. And Elohim is the same, yesterday, today, and forever. We can always find a way to know Elohim is with us. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so as not to miss the next episode. See you next time.